Don't talk to strangers on the internet. It's a legitimate concern. Look at that color difference. F me. Okay, so welcome back. Today's story is not so paranormal, it's just kind of crazy. Something you should know about me is a lot of weird stuff happens to me. Like, usually it's other people that cause the situations, but I kind of feel as if I'm like just drawn to them. But today's story is about what happened when I was in a band. And I can't really sing, so I'm actually quite curious as to why they let me in the band in the first place. So this band I was in whenever I was 15, I really wanted to have an EP. And I don't know why I wanted this so badly. I didn't want to be famous, I didn't want like to be touring the world, I just wanted an EP. And I wanted it to be all like original music, or maybe I also kind of was thinking about doing like a cover EP. But no one had really done that at that time, and I was like, are you allowed to do that? But my favourite band, Hailstorm, actually released a few cover EPs over the past few years, so past me was onto something, but lacking talent. So I kind of thought the first step towards getting this EP would be to get a band, and one of my friends is a drummer. It's my ex-boyfriend actually, and we weren't together whenever this was going on, so we were like in a band together as exes, which was a little bit weird. Yeah, that was weird. So I posted an advert on Gumtree, which, first of all, when you're 15, like, that's not a good idea. Like, who let me do these things? And I was like, oh, my friend and I want to start a band. We want to start an alternate rock band. Here's my phone number, phone me if you want to be in our band. And it was like, in our band, like, I'm not joining your band, you're joining mine, because, you know, center of attention always. And I guess about a week later I got a phone call from this guy, and for this purpose of this video I'm going to just call him Seamus. And so I got a phone call from him, and I remember I was out with my friends and I was just like walking about the town, as you do when you're 15, don't really have anything else to do with your life, and they could hear this boy talking on the phone. They were like, oh my god, is that a boy? That boy? And I was just like, I'm trying to be professional, guys, why can't you accept my life choices? But he phoned and was like, oh yeah, my friend Larry and I would be really interested in being in your band. And I was like, oh, that's class, like, what's your name? I'll add you on Facebook and we'll talk about it. Because I don't like talking to people over the phone. I'm always like, write it down so I can think of a coherent response. So I got his name and I spoke to him on Facebook. My ex and I had this centre we would go to, like a recording centre, where we would like rehearse, though I didn't bring an instrument and he played the drums. So he would just play the drums and I would sing out of tune. Oh my god, who let us do these things, honestly? But it was quite cheap, it was like 20 quid or something for an hour, which was I was like really happy with that. But this guy Seamus was like, no, I want to go to my place, and I keep looking in the viewfinder, I'm really sorry. He wanted to go to his place, which was in a little bit more of a dodgy area, honestly, and I was really nervous about going to it, so my ex's dad actually drove us up, because obviously we were like 15, I suppose he would have been like 17, yeah, so I was 15 and he was 17, so his dad just didn't feel comfortable with us like going up to this really dodgy area, which is fair enough because I probably wouldn't even go there now. But we got out of the car and there's this guy standing by a wall covered like head to toe in tattoos. Keeping in mind, I didn't know what these guys looked like, even though I added them on Facebook. Like, neither of them had a photo of themselves. Yeah, adult me really sees like why this all went so wrong. So this guy comes over and goes, oh hey, are you Victoria? Like, hi, my name's Seamus, I'm the guy from the phone. And I was like, oh, okay, hi. And I was so shocked because I was like, how old are you? Like, I was under the impression you were the same age as me and you look like you're 40. And my ex's dad actually was like kind of along the same lines as me, was like, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? And he goes, oh, I'm 16. Like, whenever I say he was covered head to toe in tattoos, I mean like head to toe. Like, there was no gaps, there was no place at all that I could see in like what he was wearing that he could have had like space for more tattoos. And I was like, how at the age of 16 do you have these tattoos? Like, this is like, what? And he was talking about how he had just finished like his GCSEs and he was going in for A-level, and I was just like, I just didn't believe it. It was like, the rational part of my brain was just like, oh, he probably just looks different, whatever, like, let him live his life. But like, part of my brain was just like, girl, there's something fishy going on here. So we walked in to this really dodgy building, went up in this like really small escalator, and we're all like really pressed together. And I don't like being touched by people. So people being in my personal space is like a really big thing for me, and I was just like so anxious. This lift was like really rickety, and it was just, I honestly was expecting it to like fall and kill us all. And honestly, if it had killed us, it would have avoided the situation entirely, so it wouldn't have been totally bad. But we got into this like wee room, and there was like drums set up, there was like a big window, but it was really high up. So we kind of sat down. There was another guy, Larry, who still had to show up, and Seamus was like, oh, Larry's always late. And we're like, yep, okay, thanks for letting us know. And I had really wanted to like write our own songs. That was a really big thing for me. I didn't want to just cover like songs I didn't know, songs I didn't care about. So I had mentioned this, and they were like, oh no, we need to like make sure that we like jam first. And I was like, okay, sure, well, can we cover this song, because I know it really well, it fits really well into my range of like my vocals. It was probably like I can't even remember what song it was, probably a Hailstorm song or like The Pretty Reckless or something. Best bands, honestly. And they were like, no, we want to do a cover of Marilyn Manson. And I was like, what? Like, I'm gonna stick in a wee bit of footage here of what I looked like when I was 15. And I actually think I wore this exact outfit whenever we went to do this. No, 100% I wore this outfit, because for some reason, maybe it was just like my like alternative like scene girl rocker outfit, even though it wasn't even, it was like a pair of shorts and a American tee. I was so lame. No wonder no one liked me. But like, I'd never listened to Marilyn Manson before. I was very much into like pop rock, alternative rock, not really like your kind of Marilyn Manson heavier type stuff. I still don't really listen to Marilyn Manson. I think the only song I've really listened to is Tainted Love, which we covered, and Avril Lavigne Bad Girl featuring him. Basically, Larry finally showed up, and obviously we've been sitting there for like 20 minutes waiting on him, and he walks into the room, sets down his guitar and starts like opening up, but he like walked in and like walked with his head down, like with his arm up, like just carrying his guitar and being like, and he didn't even look at us, he didn't talk to us, he didn't say hello. And then Seamus like realised how rude that was and was like, hi Larry. And he was like, oh, hi. And I was like, okay. Feeling very welcomed here in this creepy old building. So, yeah, well, the rehearsal itself didn't go that badly. It was fine. We kind of left and was like, that was a bit weird. They're both kind of weird people, but whatever. People are colourful, people are unique. We shall just roll with it. It's fine. A little bit had gone past and we didn't hear from him again, and we were kind of weirded out. It was like, do they want to be in a band with us? Do they not? Like, we were kind of a bit meh about them, so like we weren't too bothered about whether or not they wanted to be like in our band, but it was more just kind of like, it's a bit rude to tell somebody you're going to be in their band and then not reply to anything. But there was one day I was writing this story about lycanthropy disease. Something about me, I love all things spooky. I love like werewolves and vampires and ghosts and witches and demons and literally like anything under that umbrella term. I like just love it. So I was writing this story about about this girl who discovered she was a werewolf and she like killed her mum, and I was like, oh, it's so angsty. So as I was writing this, Seamus popped up to me on Facebook and he was like, oh, what are you doing? How are you? Like, haven't talked to you in a bit. And I was like, yeah, we've been wondering where you've been at. But I'm not doing very much. I'm just writing a story about werewolves. It's not really a big deal. And he was like, oh, I'd love to be a werewolf. And I was just like, why? Why would you want to be a werewolf? Like, I mean, I get the whole sex appeal, because like, sure, I can see that. But if you're going to pick to be any supernatural creature, why would you pick the one where you're like in pain? Like, I don't get that. But he was just like, I was like, why would you want to break like every bone in your body? Like, that just doesn't sound fun. And he was like, there's one bone I'd like to keep. And I was like, yeah, that's not a bone, sorry. Hate to break it to you, but there is no bone present. And you know, me at 15, I had barely like had any interaction with a boy. I'd like dated people before, but it'd been like long distance, it had been very short-lived. I'd never kissed a boy, I'd never been with a boy, very much 100% a virgin. And he was just like, oh, it feels like a bone, have you ever touched one? I was just like, no, why would, what? Do you want to be in our band? And I was just really creeped out by him, honestly. Like, it's just such a weird thing to say to somebody. And then he like, I was just like, well, no, I don't really fancy touching a bone-like penis, thank you very much. I'm 15, just want to do an EP. Let me live my life in peace and solitude, Seamus. But, so I just kind of deflected that with like, haha, you're so funny. I actually will see if I can find the messages on Facebook because they're really funny. I did find them about a month ago. I was thinking about this and I did go and see if I could find it, and oh my god, like, god, it's just such a weird thing to say to somebody, like. Okay, hi. So I can't believe I forgot to mention this in the video. Honestly, like, learn your f***ing life story. So before Seamus mentioned the whole, I want to keep my werewolf bone dick, whatever the f***, he actually messaged me and he said that he has a favourite picture of me. And to quote him word for word here, he said, I have a favourite picture of you, by the way, smiley face, kiss, whatever. And I was like, oh really, kiss? And he's like, I do indeed. And honestly, what even, like, why am I talking to this actual freak? And obviously at this point I'm like, what is it? Like, why do you have a photo of me? What are you f***ing doing? And he's like, oh, I'll go like it. And I'm like, oh, okay, alright, fun. And he's like, is it a good choice, lol? And I'm like, sure, XD, roar, smiley face, whatever the fuck. And honestly, I actually am so concerned about my younger self. Like, who thinks it's okay to go onto somebody's Facebook, save a photo of them, and then, like, tell them about it? I mean, honestly, if you're gonna save a photo of someone, tell them, because that's creepy as f***. Like, what did he want that for? Like a f***ing, like, photo album of faces he can f***ing wank to? Who actually knows? So, the next practice we went to, which was again probably like, it was quite soon after that actually, I think, but he was really weird to me. We sat there for like literally about 40 minutes and didn't do anything, didn't speak to one another, like all four of us in like different parts of the room, and no one did anything. And I got like, I had this like wee blackberry, I think it was like a blackberry curve, and it was purple. I like purple. And I got this message. I was like texting my like ex slash friend, well, I was texting like my ex while we were there, and I was like, I feel really uncomfortable, can we just go? Like, I really don't want to be here. He's just like, I could like feel his energy from like across the room, because he was just like making me feel so uncomfortable by like not even interacting with me, just his presence was making me feel so uncomfortable. And I got this message on my phone from Seamus, and he was just like, wanna go for a walk? And I was just like, no, I'm gonna stay here, thanks, bye. And then my ex was like, oh, that my dad just texted, we have to go. And I was just like, cool, let's leave, get out of here. And literally Seamus opened the door for me and put his arm, like he put his arm up against the door frame and like blocked it and like looked at me. And I was just like, I had like a $5 in my hand to give him for like the payment for the like the room rent, and I just like kind of shoved it into his hand and ducked under his arm and fled the building. So that was incredibly awkward, and I like never want to be in a situation like that again, because that was incredibly uncomfortable. But that is not where the story ends. No, it is not. So a few months later, like months have gone by, and I get this message, like I get a friend request from this guy on Facebook, and I'm very much like, I will add anybody on Facebook really, because I just like to nosy at people. I'm a nosy person. But this guy was called John, and that was his real name. It's not a fake name. Well, okay, it is a fake name. Basically, I got this message from this guy called John, and he messaged me and was like, hey, you're so beautiful. And I was like, oh, thank you, that's nice. Bye. Thanks. And he like kept messaging me and being like, hi, hey, oh, how are you doing, sexy? Like, you know, those like messages I just keep sending. And I was just like, oh my god, what's happening? And then he was like, he sent me one, I just said a reply one day. I was like, I'm bored, whatever, I'll talk to you. And he was just like, will you send me nudes? And I was like, I'm not gonna send you nudes, no. Like, I just don't want to do that. Like, I'm perfectly within my right to say no to that. At the age of 15. And he was like, oh, why not? You're so sexy. I was just like, I'm 15. My fucking tits are underage. You don't want to see them. And like, he just like really wouldn't take no for an answer. And then he was like, eventually like, oh, right, okay, fine then. Right, so just after I got this message from John, I got a message from Seamus. And Seamus says, he's just like, oh, hey, how are you? Been a long time. And I'm like, yeah, it's because you're fucking creepy. And I didn't really say that. I'm too nice. I was just like, oh, hi, yes, how are you? Please don't talk to me. But he was just like, oh, you know, I really like you. Like, can I see some pics of you? And I was just like, what now? And I was just like, oh, I'm really sorry. I don't feel the same way about you because you're like 40. And he was just like, oh yeah, no one ever feels the same way about me. And I was like, yeah, because you're 40 and talking to 15-year-olds. But I kind of came to the conclusion, keeping in mind that these things happened directly beside each other. These two guys talked, like typed exactly alike. And in my brain, and in everybody else's brain I told this to, they've been like, that's the same person. So this guy Seamus, essentially, to give you a long story short, contacted me through an online advert for a Dwayne band, looked about 30 years older than he supposedly was intensely creepy and wants to be a werewolf who just keeps his bone dick, refuses to learn any songs that I like or to write songs with me. I'm still very salty about that, like, come on, man. He like texts me from across the road. He doesn't want to speak to me and be like, oh hey, you look really nice today, want to go for a walk with me? It's, want to go for a walk? Type. And then he makes a fake Facebook account to like ask me for nudes, and then asks me for nudes on his actual Facebook account. Then he deleted his. Do you know what's actually really weird? Whenever I went to look for him, I really wanted to know if he was still about. I'm very nosy, I like to know what people are doing. And I could find Larry's Facebook, I found it no problem. My ex knows like the guys that he's signed by now. So I was able to like find out like what he was at like through him. But like Seamus, I literally couldn't find anywhere. And I know that after we stopped talking to him, just before he messaged me about the nudes, I'd seen on his Facebook that he was dating some girl. So he had a girlfriend at this time as well, I might point out. And they were like in like this like alternative like emo band. And I was just like, so this is why you never phoned us back, because you're in a band with your girlfriend now? Like, I mean, it may also have been because I ran away from him, but I mean, he's like kind of scary looking. So yeah, so whenever I went to look for Seamus, I like couldn't find him, and I've come to the conclusion he's since deleted his Facebook, either because he's a registered paedophile or because he's just like, in these 5 years he has like aged about 50, so maybe he just died of old age, who knows. I think the moral of the story is don't post online adverts to be in a band when you're 15, because you will attract weirdos. That's how it happens. That's where these stories come from. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video today. If you have any friends who want to be in a band, don't post it on the internet, because you will attract pedophiles and weird men who ask you for nudes whenever they want to be a werewolf, and a lot of other weird stuff will probably happen because of that. So if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a like, share it with your friends, laugh with me, laugh at me, because I laugh at me. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a like and just subscribe to my channel to watch my other videos.
Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!